You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. This is Clutch with Keon Rose, and we got a lot to talk about. Finally signs with the Chargers. Colin Kaepernick says some things, and Donald Trump says some things. But no, I'm just kidding. It's game week. The Vols, man. Play Appalachian State on Thursday. As though you did not know. I'm sure you were aware. Unless you've been living under a rock, this is the most important week around here. And I have some thoughts. So I have some thoughts on this game about all of the things that could go well, all of the things that could go poorly, and the things that worry me about it, right? Because like there's a lot on the surface of this, and then like with the way this game can fall, this game is going to tell us a lot about the season. I mean, it's not going to tell us everything. But it is going to tell us what to worry about. It's going to tell us what to worry about. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in just a second. But before I do that, let me tell you where you can reach us and where we can reach you. Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Search Hot News Talk Radio in the search bar. Or make sure to check us out on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com. You can also get at us at noogaradio.com as well. You can stream all of our shows 24/7, 365, as well as get some deals. We've got our half deals there. You can check those out. Also, I highly recommend checking us out on the TuneIn Radio app. Again, that's the TuneIn Radio app. Simply search it in your favorite app store and then search Hot News Talk Radio. Give us a favorite and press play, and you'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. So with that being said, right, Tennessee plays Appalachian State Thursday, and there is a whole lot of hype surrounding Tennessee this season. I think that everyone's aware of that too. I've been in the engine of the hype train. I'm not the conductor. I'm not conducting this particular hype train because I have some trepidations about Tennessee this season, same as anybody else. But again, and I've said this multiple times, if you feel like Tennessee's not going to win the East, you're being a contrarian. You just like to pick against what makes sense. And I don't know what to say about that. Like, I really don't know how to help you there. But with Tennessee, Appalachian State is not, as far as FCS schools go, some pushover team. You should still pound them, but they're not some pushover team. So there's enough here in this game to teach you, or at least show you, like, what should you be worried about this season if you're a Vols fan? What is it that should bother you about this team that's trying to win the SEC East, that's trying to beat Florida for the first time in forever, that's trying to beat Alabama for the first time in forever, trying to beat Georgia in Athens for the first time in forever? Like, this season's going to hold a lot, and this game's going to tell you a bunch of things. One of the things this game is going to tell you is how Tennessee is going to get their points, because you can run. Josh Dobbs, fantastic as a runner. Alvin Kamara, fantastic as a runner. Jalen Hurd is a beast. He is impossible to bring down. He is a gigantic person, and I love the way he runs. He doesn't really juke ever. I don't know if you've noticed. He sort of changes angles. He makes you take bad angles on him. I love the way that he runs. It's brutal. It's vicious. It's nasty. Tennessee can run. We got that. But can they pass the ball downfield? And I think that much has been made about Josh Dobbs and his arm. But part of it, too, is the coaching. Part of it is they did not run a lot of deep plays. Okay? I mean, you've got a quarterback that completes 65% of his passes. You might want to open that up and take some shots downfield. And they just haven't done it. Despite the fact that they've got speed all over the field, especially at receiver. They just have not taken advantage of that. I mean, you've taken advantage of the speed in use of bubble screens and things of the like, but you haven't really taken those shots downfield that are going to set you apart. College football is a passing league. I mean, it's a passing game. You have guys when you're a school and you're more talented than another school. The way these spread offenses work, you're trying to isolate somebody one-on-one and just let the speed talent give your quarterback a chance to make a play downfield. And Tennessee doesn't do any of that. We do a lot of things off of play action, a lot of things off of the run. We don't do so much in the department of throwing the ball down the field. And it's going to be an issue later on this season if Tennessee does not get their points that way in this game. You've got all the talent in the world that you would need. You just have to throw the ball down the field. You just have to do it. And I understand the desire to be conservative. Like once you have a lead and once you've got three guys who can run brilliantly, especially Hurd, you just give it to the workhorse and just let him plow it up the field. I understand the desire to want to get ultra conservative. And that's going to work against Appalachian State. Appalachian? I've heard it pronounced both ways. It's going to work, okay? Where it's not going to work is where it didn't work last year against Florida. Where it's not going to work is where it didn't work last year against Oklahoma. Where it's not going to work is where it didn't work last year against Arkansas. You've got to be able to throw the football in this league, especially like the way the SEC is trending now. People pass the ball in this league, okay? You've got Alabama. Alabama's got the clone runner. You just put whoever's in there, and they're going to run, and they're going to get you 1 billion yards, and I get it. And, you know, Leonard Fournette is an absolute monster, and Georgia's a factory. Like, there's a great running tradition in the SEC. People throw the ball now, okay? We had a season where Dak Prescott was one of the more prolific passers in the SEC and in college football overall, and is looking like he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL even. We've got that. We've got Chad Kelly. There's enough people passing. People are excited about Jacob Eason, even though it was Grayson Lambert taking the first team reps when last anybody saw. There's enough in the way of danger passing. You've got Josh Dobbs, okay? He's accurate. He's very accurate. Throw the ball down the field. Take a risk, take a chance, and try and make a defense pay for overloading the box and trying to stop Dobbs, Kamara, and Hurd. If Tennessee does not get their points passing the ball in this game against inferior defensive talent, against inferior athletes, it's probably not going to happen this season. That's just not going to be our strategy, which isn't to say that you have to throw the ball to win the East, but you make life very difficult on yourself when you choose not to do that. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose, and it's just, there's going to be a lot to learn from Appalachian State. There's going to be a lot to learn from this game, and that's one of the things. How is Tennessee going to get their points? One of the other things to learn from this game is killer instinct, which is something that if you were watching last season and you were ripping your hair out of your head, you would have noticed that Tennessee lacked a certain killer instinct, at least earlier in the season. Now, you could argue that the Georgia game was the game where it kind of all turned around for them, and they developed that killer instinct coming from behind against Georgia in the second half to win that game. Have they developed it? They were able to beat Vanderbilt in a hideous, ugly game. I mean, they have developed something. They're moving in the right direction. Have they developed that killer instinct where if I have a lead on you, you don't come back. You don't come back and get me. You don't make this game look close. We stomp you. You know, I mean, you got to put that foot on their neck and just step down on it sometimes. And that didn't happen against Florida, and it should have happened. And they lost the game. And it didn't happen against Oklahoma, and it should have happened. And they lost the game. Okay, and you saw it happen against Georgia. They came from behind. You saw it happen against Alabama. They didn't make the mistakes coming down the stretch that they were making in other games. Against Alabama, it looked like they were starting to put it together. The only thing that happened was Alabama had the ball last. That's really what happened. Bama had the ball last. But if you're Tennessee, have you put it all together? Have you gained a killer instinct? If you win this game, and I don't know if you remember the first game of last season. I have to look that up, but that game was way too close. You're playing Appalachian State. Are they a good school? They're a very good school in the FCS. But you play better talent than they play regularly. Stomp them. Put them down. I mean, this is not rocket science. And our hot news hotline is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949 if you want to weigh in with your thoughts on what it is that Tennessee is going to show you in this game on Thursday. I think they're going to show us a lot of things. Whether or not they've developed a killer instinct is whether or not they just blow the doors off of Appalachian State. Like, if they just smoke them, because that's what I want to see. That's what the first game of the season is supposed to be about. If you struggle, if you make this look close, this is a problem. Okay? This game is about building the confidence. It's about showing and showcasing your offense and showing what you could do. It's about getting the fans excited for the season. I mean, when was the last time we really saw a Tennessee Volunteer blowout where we just had a team that put it together and just smoked inferior competition? Because here's the thing. This is what separates the good teams from the great teams. And we know Tennessee is good. You only had 4 losses. That's not bad. So I won't chalk that up to being good. You're good. But what makes you great is when you not just handle business against teams that you're supposed to beat, you destroy them. You dismantle them. You put everybody else on notice. Like, beating us is not going to be easy. This is going to be a fight. And you need to do that because you got a stretch of 4 games where 4 of those schools need to know this. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M all need to know when they play you, it's going to be a fight. They cannot walk into you and think, now we're going to beat these guys. And Florida still thinks they're going to beat you. Florida's been beating you for a decade. They still think they're going to beat you. I mean, they're wrong, because I'm looking at that team and I'm like, okay, all right. You're a year away. You're not there yet. You're a year away. Let's not get ridiculous now. I understand Jim McElwain is fantastic, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do with the Gators as a coach. But let's say, what? But they have that confidence. And you've got to start shattering that confidence as soon as humanly possible. Just break it smithereens. Because it was last year that you rolled up on Bowling Green and you beat them 49-30 or 59-30. And while that looks lopsided, while that looks like a blowout, Bowling Green put up 30 on you. And it wasn't all garbage time stuff. Last year, you're the Vols. You're a Vols fan. Don't you come away a little bit disgusted with that first game performance? And didn't that tell you a little bit of how that season was going to go? You beat the team you were supposed to beat, but you didn't show the killer instinct. You didn't put them away. You didn't stifle them. You didn't stymie them. They put up 30 on you. You put up 59, but they put up 30, and they were hanging around. Shouldn't be hanging around. They shouldn't put up anywhere near 30. If Appalachian State puts up 30, and those weren't exclusively like garbage time touchdowns, something went wrong. Something went really, really wrong. In fact, even if that happens in garbage time, something went really, really wrong. You're supposed to be a vastly improved team. And the next week, you'd lose to Oklahoma in overtime, a game you could have won. The lack of killer instinct was there. And sure, you won the game against the crappy school that you were supposed to win. You beat the Bowling Green Falcons. But you didn't beat them in a way that let Oklahoma know they can't walk all over the Tennessee Volunteers. Thusly, Oklahoma was not afraid of you, and they're a good school. So by the time you beat Western Carolina later in the season, 55-10, it was too late. It was too late to send that message. And you lose to the Gators, 28-27. I mean, it's the first game sets the tone for the season. It's super important. And I don't think you should just dismiss it. And I know you're all excited, and I know it's a hype train, but like, this game's going to tell you a lot. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Just going down my thoughts of what this game is going to tell us about the Vols. It's going to tell us a lot. It's going to tell us whether or not this team's got a killer instinct. It's going to tell us how they're going to get their points. And it's going to tell us whether or not this team can dial in defensively. Because like I said last year, beat Bowling Green 59-30. And defensively, the defense was not dialed in. Not initially. And this is a good defense. Like, Derek Barnett had a fantastic season. Like, he just was a monster. He still is a monster. He's going to be crazy this season. But is that going to be the case this season? Is the defense going to get dialed in for some of these games? Because I don't think they were dialed in enough against Arkansas. To be honest with you, I don't. I mean, against Alabama, they were very dialed in. That was a game that was huge. The defense got up for that game. They got up for that game. And for most of the Florida game, they were there. For most of it. Fell apart there at the end. But again, that's not entirely all on the defense. But with that being said, like, is this going to be a defensive team that stands up and makes big plays when you need big plays? Okay, like, they're going to have plenty of opportunities against Appalachian State by just being superior athletes to get that tune-up game before Bristol. Because again, like, the Bristol game is going to be the national stage game. The Bristol game is going to be the game where everybody sees you. And what you don't want is to stumble and struggle against Virginia Tech and have people laughing at you after all of this hype. And there is a lot of hype, no matter what it is that Butch Jones tries to do to douse the fire on this hype. And he has started accepting some of it. Like, you just have to accept some of it sometimes. Okay, when you like, I really like those old Miami teams, those Miami teams in the 80s. The Miami teams of the 80s were good and knew they were good and had that swagger. Wouldn't it be cool to see the Vols have that swagger? They're a good team, and everybody knows they're a good team. They know they're a good team. We know they're a good team. Everybody else in the conference knows they're a good team. Whether or not you think they're overrated, you cannot say that this team is not good and not good enough to win their division in the conference and not good enough to win the conference. I mean, they've got a puncher's chance as good as anybody, and they've got an opportunity to make the playoff. I don't know if you've listened to The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin thinks they're going to make the playoff. I agree. I really do. They're good enough. That schedule is weak enough. This conference is open enough. Alabama's off a championship year where they lost a lot of talent to the NFL. This is a good enough team with a right enough situation, with enough talent everywhere. Appalachian State's going to let us know what this season's going to look like, because the Bowling Green game did as well. Like, we saw that game last year, and there was so much stuff to worry about. They didn't throw the ball down the field against Bowling Green either. And, like, these are the schools where you start to take those shots down the field. The schools that aren't going to punish you as badly for missing on some of those shots. This is where you take those shots down the field. And we just don't see it. We see, like, a lot of tight end, across the field, play action boots. We don't see all the other stuff. Get your receivers involved. I mean, Juwan Jennings, man. I like him. We never see him deep. We're not seeing the entire route tree for, like, most of these guys. That's a little disappointing, is it not? You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Just a little bit of Alabama news. Let's just diversify the portfolio here. Nick Saban has said that Cooper Bateman and Blake Barnett, it's between the two of them for quarterback. They're going to both play in Alabama's upcoming game. My issue with this, and I've always wondered this, coaches that play two quarterbacks, is one guy really going to pull away from the other guy in the game that much? Do you end up having to do you end up not knowing who the quarterback is if they both play well? You know, like, what if they both play well? That has always confused me about coaches, like, playing two quarterbacks in a game. And is it a 75-25 split? Like, are you leaning one way more so than the other? Or you're just playing both guys because you just don't know? It's crazy to me. All these people, Hillary or Trump, If you don't know by now, you're not voting. You got to know by now, like some philosophy on this. Bateman or Barnett? How do we not know by now which guy's the guy? Is it really that? Are they that close? Like, if they're that close, then hey, I'm not a football coach. I don't know. But are they that close? You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. More Tennessee talk next.
Wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal.
Now you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio anywhere, streaming live at Noogaradio.com. That's Noogaradio.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items, discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Rumble in today to Diesel Off-Road Tech for a free diesel engine diagnostic to see what's holding you back. Your 4x4 is gasping like an old lady. It's hesitating. How can you possibly be the man you want to be? Diesel Off-Road is ready for you. 8 bays, 8 techs, plug in, get the $100 diagnostic of your major machine now. A bumper-to-bumper analysis with factory software tools. Free if you mention Cowherd or Hannity. Absolutely no charge. Want to bring a new look or better mileage to your truck or 4x4 off-road vehicle? Diesel Off-Road in Stoddy Daisy is the 4-wheel specialist. Lift kits, customizing, all wheels, all tires, performance boosts, repair. Call 805-2800. Diesel's mechanics and techs have 100 years combined experience making engines roar and exteriors sparkle. DieselOffroadTech.com. Call 805-2800.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Expect fair skies to continue through the nighttime. Still a little muggy out there. Low 68 to 70 with a little patchy late fog. For Tuesday as well as the midweek, not much change. Lots of sunshine, mainly dry with a few afternoon clouds. Continued hot and humid, highs into the lower to middle 90s. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
All systems go.
Got a printing project on deadline? Advantage Printing in Brainerd offers the highest quality one-stop service in Chattanooga. Graphic design, printing, addressing. Don't create a mailer unless you first check with Alan about the latest postal hassle. He'll handle the whole thing for you. Advantage Printing. Your advantage is in our name. 4031 Brainerd Road next to the Bilo. Print digital or offset, wide format, engineering drawings, start to finish. Advantage Printing. Check the details with Alan. 629-1800. That's 629-1800.
All systems go.
Treat yourself and your vehicle to a sparkling shine inside and out at Country Boys and Toys. 9606 Dayton Pike, Soddy Daisy. Remember how it felt the first day you brought your new ride home, clean as a whistle, with that new car smell? Well, you can enjoy it again and again, over and over now, with auto detailing from Country Boys and Toys in Soddy Daisy. Call 309-0426. That's 309-0426.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
All this football is making me tired. I think I'm going to take a nap. And you know where I'm going to take that nap? The University of Clemson. Clemson's new football complex includes a nap room with 8 bunk beds and 3 massage chairs. Now, I don't know about you, but nap time was fantastic when I was a kid. Nap time was glorious. That was some of the best times in my life. Like now I have trouble sleeping, so I wish I could go back to those days. Nap time was great. Miss nap time. And apparently, so does the Clemson football team. Is it only the football complex that gets the nap room? Like, that seems unfair. That seems... Because Title IX makes it so like everything's got to be equal. Does the volleyball complex get a nap room? Because volleyball players need naps too. I mean, some of these football club complexes are ridiculous. Like the stuff that they build onto most of these football complexes are insane. But this is probably one of the weirder things I think I've ever seen. A nap room. With that being said, there is nothing not cool about all of that. Like you come back from practice and just go to the nap room, sit in the massage chair, chill out. I mean, that's got to be pretty nice. Instead of walk across campus and try and get back to your dorm room, just go to the nap room. Nap it out, man. I mean, I'm down with the cause. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but I'm making fun of it a little bit. But like, who thought that? Because there's somebody that sits down in these committee meetings and they're all looking at each other going like, what do we need in this football complex? You know, we need a place for the players to eat. We need a place for the players to put their stuff. Lockers for your pads and everything. Probably like one of those wave pools so you can do rehab. And I mean, people think about all of this stuff. And then somebody sat down and thought, these guys need naps. Our players need to take naps. And Dabo Swinney was like, cool. I agree with that. Our guys need to take naps. Need to take naps? So much so that they built a nap room? Oh, I mean, really? All right. That's enough about that. Like it boggles my mind. It's all it just popped into my head that 8 bunk beds and 3 massage chairs in an official nap room. Just crazy to me. I don't know. So really quickly, I'll talk about this and then we'll get back to Tennessee stuff because, I mean, it's game week, man. It's game week. It's back. The hype is real. It's very real. I'm very excited. So here's the thing. I was reading the report on Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, during the last preseason game of the 49ers, he refused to stand during the national anthem, and his reasoning was because America is a country where the land of the free, home of the brave, and Colin Kaepernick's reasoning was we can't be that free. We can't be that free if young black men are being shot by the police. How free could that possibly be? And I think where people are like, oh, Colin Kaepernick is being ridiculous and he's being unpatriotic, I think you're missing the point, which is that he's not wrong. And this whole thing is to draw attention to the issue. Everything that's happening here is to draw attention to the issue that we've got guys in police uniforms who aren't fit to be wearing those uniforms. Okay, when an American kills another American, they shouldn't just get paid administrative leave. Right? Like we should go beyond that. And Colin Kaepernick, by refusing to stand during the national anthem, is bringing attention to that specific issue. That is all protests are for. Okay, protests bring attention to issues that we're not talking about for whatever reason. Either we refuse to talk about it, either we don't want to talk about it, it's not comfortable. and it brings attention to the issue so that we can talk about it, hopefully, so that we can change it. And what we're getting hung up on here is the fact that he didn't stand in the national anthem and that it was unpatriotic. And Colin Kaepernick, he has not made this better. He continues to make this worse, and he's distracting from the issue of it now. Because when people asked him about it, like, what about the troops, man? He's like, well, I respect the troops, but they die in vain because America's really not all that free. Lost me there, because now we're turning away from the issue. The issue being that black people are being shot by the police. Okay, that is something to protest. That is a very great thing to protest. Okay, because I hear you. I am a young black man in America. And I hate the idea that every time I'm out on the road, my family worries about me. Like, what if something goes wrong? What if I get pulled over by the police and I'm next? That's a conversation that we have to have. And by doing this protest during the national anthem, during a time set aside for the troops, it to me is effective because it's getting us to talk about the issue. But Colin's answer to the question, and when you start talking about troops dying in vain, stop that. Stop that, really. Like, that takes away from the conversation, and it diminishes what it is that our troops do, which is put their lives on the line for our freedom. And now, does the freedom get properly enforced? Does the freedom get, is it actually there? That's a different thing entirely. But that doesn't mean that those guys are dying in vain. Because again, freedom isn't free. Somebody's got to pay the price for this. And those people brave enough to die for the opportunity of freedom, because it's not guaranteed. Just because you die for it doesn't mean someone's just going to give it to you. Dying for the opportunity for the rest of us to be free, that should not be diminished in any way. And I think Colin Kaepernick kind of crossed the line there. And it takes away from his whole larger conversation of black people being killed by the police. Let's not stop talking about this, because that stuff's still scary. And it's still wrong. And it's very un-American. Okay, I don't think that we should go around afraid of our law enforcement. And again, got to stress this because I can't stress this enough. Most of our law enforcement do a great job. They are not out here trying to shoot everybody. And I don't want it to come across as that. But there are some out here shooting people, and specifically shooting people of color, not because, they're openly racist, which there's some of those guys definitely do exist too, but because you've got implicit biases about things because our media programs us for this. And here's the thing, black cops can shoot black people too. Why is that impossible? A black cop is not somehow impervious to the same media programming that we're all privy to. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about those issues. Like, we just have implicit biases. Black people can discriminate against other black people. You can be racist and also black. But we're not even talking about that issue. We're talking about Colin Kaepernick and is he unpatriotic? And Donald Trump is saying stuff about Colin Kaepernick. And I'm just like, stop. Because the original issue, the original thing that Colin was trying to draw light to, we completely lost it. And he is part of the reason why we've lost it. That's one. And two, Colin Kaepernick's considerable interest is, like, his influence is diminished a ton. He may not be on the football team that he's playing for. We don't know if Colin Kaepernick is still a good NFL quarterback. We have no idea about that. Like, you use your influence, obviously, to start conversations of change, you hope. But you got to be a good NFL quarterback to continue to maintain that influence, or you will vanish. Like, we're not going to care about Colin Kaepernick in 3 years if somehow he does not reemerge or resurge in some way. We're not going to care. So that's a whole other side issue into itself. But there's the issue that Colin Kaepernick wanted to talk about, and then there's the issue that everybody else is actually talking about. And so one has to wonder about the effectiveness of the protest once he said what he said. Like, it's just, even he has to wonder, like, is this actually the most effective use of my words? They jammed the camera in my face. And instead of saying, you know what? I just want to focus on this issue. That's why I did what I did. I wanted to protest so that I could bring attention to an issue that is very near and dear to my heart. What he actually said was, troops die in vain because America's not actually free. And that's backwards. That's so backwards. Like, you're never going to come out looking good when you diminish the value of the troops. And more importantly, you shouldn't diminish the value of the troops. They do what they do bravely. And for their families and for the rest of us, I couldn't be more grateful. I'm an Army brat. I couldn't be more grateful. And Colin Kaepernick comes off as very, very, very ungrateful, even though the initial point of what he was trying to make was good. It was good intentions. He just executed it very poorly, which lets me know, like, you can't protest with no plan. You're protesting without a plan is a real bad idea. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I have either good news for you if you're a Georgia fan or bad news, depending on what you think about Nick Chubb, which is that Nick Chubb is going to play against North Carolina. There's not going to be any limits on Nick Chubb in the game. None. We're not going to have a carry limit. Nothing. There's not going to be a limit on Nick Chubb in this game, which, depending on how you feel about Nick Chubb's knee as a Georgia fan, is either a good thing or a bad thing. Like, if you think his knee is good, then this is great news. There's no limit. A limitless Nick Chubb. He's going to wreck North Carolina. He's going to wreck the Heels. Nick Chubb with no limits and fully healthy, if you think he's fully healthy. If you don't think he's fully healthy, this does come off as a bit foolish, because I don't know if you saw the Nick Chubb knee injury. I went back and watched it. If you haven't gone back and watched it, don't go back and watch it, because it is it's not fun. That was a bad knee injury, man. The fact that he's back from it this fast is a testament to just what a freaky athlete he is, and B, how much medical science has advanced, because that knee was shredded, just destroyed. I don't know how he's back. That's ridiculous. I don't know how he's back. That being said, though, if Nick Chubb's knee, if something is actually still maybe up with it and we don't know, because guys rush back from stuff all the time and they're just never quite as effective, never quite the same, then you put it at risk, right? And I don't know if Nick Chubb feels like he can cut on that leg just yet. I've talked to people who've been down to Athens, saw the practice, saw Nick Chubb take contact and everything else, and they tell me he looks good. I am told Nick Chubb looks awesome. But I've injured my knees, okay? I've injured my knees, and my knees are still messed up. I injured my knee in high school, and it's still messed up. And I've got to tell you, it's one of those situations where if he's not 100%, then, I worry. And can he put his leg in the ground and plant and push off from it with all the power that he was doing last year after that injury? It was ridiculous. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Football getting started back here in the SEC. So many questions, so little time. What will we learn from the Vols on Thursday against Appalachian State? They are a team that's got a lot to prove this season, especially when you consider the amount of hype given to the team. The hype surrounding Tennessee is, to say the least, quite intense. It's very bonkers with what's happening with them. They have been picked to win the SEC East. Some people, like Colin Cowherd on this station, they've picked them to be in the college football playoff. I have also picked them to be in the college football playoff. I think their schedule is easy enough. I think the West is brutal enough. By the time you get to the SEC title game, Tennessee could be in a very, very good position to win some games here. But what is Tennessee going to show us against Appalachian State? For me, the most important thing to me, the thing that interests me the most, what are we going to learn from the Vols against Appalachian State? That passing game. Does it ever open up for them? Because it didn't open up last season. That was the most frustrating thing, was they're trailing last year against Arkansas, okay, and they're not throwing the ball down the field against Arkansas. Arkansas, who basically only runs. If they have like 2,000-yard rushers every year, two of them typically on one team, they pretty much just run. If you let Arkansas get the ball back and they have a lead, they're going to run the clock out. And I'm watching the Vols unable to throw the ball down the field, and I'm watching them run, but you're behind. Running is not necessarily what you want to do, especially against a team that knows you're running. Everybody knows you're running. Everybody in the gym knows you're running, and then you're running still. It's not effective. You're losing time, and you're behind. I just don't see that. The Vols have to throw the ball this season. They have to. Like, it's not optional anymore. And while I have a lot of questions about Josh Dobbs, I'm really not questioning too much the guy's accuracy. I think he's a solid, accurate passer if you open up the field and open up those concepts. Like, I look at the route tree for some of the wide receivers at Tennessee, and I'm looking at guys that are basically capable of running every route, but we don't run every route tree for them because we don't throw the ball. Tennessee does not throw the ball. And that is the number one thing I want to see against Appalachian State is, do they throw the ball now? I don't care if you've got to run it off of play action. I mean, you've got fantastic running backs. Run all the things you want off of play action. But don't just operate in the seams. Work the sidelines a little bit. Work the edges a little bit. Get out there, man. Run some 9 routes. Run some out routes. I mean, it can't just all be slants, posts, and seam routes, man. Like, at some point, you've got to start. Like, just throw it down the field. That's all I want to see. Also, does this team have swagger? Is this team going to be fun to watch? Like, Josh Dobbs is not an arrogant guy. He doesn't have that built-in cockiness where he just walks around like he owns the place, which is admittedly one of the likable things about him, is that he does not walk around like he owns everything. He doesn't walk around like he owns the entire place. And I while you like that about him, there is something to be said about the fact that the guy doesn't have the swagger. Butch Jones doesn't have the swagger. And Jalen Hurts got a little bit of the swagger, but like, this team's got to walk around like they own the SEC. Because they look like, both between schedule and actual talent on the field, they could be the best team in the SEC. Now, I don't want to be eating my words. Here's the thing, though, because people on the internet are mean, and people on the internet make you eat your words, jump down your throat the moment anything slips up. So I understand. I think I'm taking a decent enough risk here, putting my weight behind Tennessee this season. I don't think I'm taking that big of a risk, though, because if you just look at the talent on the field, the experience that they're returning at almost every position, there's a lot. They have a ton. You're listening to Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I want to talk about the kid last week that got his name. That Michigan got his name wrong, right? Like, he's going to Georgia now. He got a thank you letter for attending a barbecue at Michigan. He got a letter for attending a barbecue at Michigan. They got his name wrong, And then on top of that, there you are. Was waiting.
Oh, I didn't hear you tease the segment.
I mean, I was going to tease it when you got here, but then you never came.
I've just been hovering around like a helicopter.
Well, we have the briefest of all Jay Asks, possibly the briefest because we've got like 2.5 minutes now.
Oh, yay.
It was like 10 minutes left in the show when you came in and you were like, I gave you the thumbs up and then you just didn't come back. So I'm sitting there. I'm trying to fill the space.
I feel like
and then you were walking around. I was like, is she getting her questions? I don't know.
Well, okay. Like my question is this. Okay. Like I understand that football is a big deal. I want to ask why football is a big deal, but I feel like that's more of an insult than a question. But I want to know, like, explain college football. Like, why is college football so much? Like, what is different between the college football and the NFL as far as like the fan base? Like, what are we looking for that's different?
Okay, college football, and I think college football is just a little bit more regional. College football is more tribal in that way. Everybody, if you grow up in a Vols house, you are just trained from an early age to hate anything that is burgundy, crimson, red. Like Georgia, you hate them. Alabama, you hate them. No one ever told you why. You just don't like them. That's just all it is. And then you've got those in-state rivalries as well, where Tennessee and Vanderbilt, you're both in the same state, but you just don't like them. They're up the road from you, and they stand for something completely different. Where I think the NFL, you do have like the fan bases are passionate in the NFL, but mostly the historical fan bases tend to be more passionate. So the Cowboys and the Steelers and the Giants, you don't have as many passionate Chargers fans or Vikings fans. Like they're passionate still, but they're limited to their city usually, where the entire state of Tennessee, most people get behind the Vols. In Alabama, most people get behind the Crimson Tide. It's just a little bit more regional, tribal,
right?
Yes,
more tribal.
Yes, like in almost.
I think of that scene from Finding Nemo with like shark bait. Ooh ha ha.
Correct.
So okay, I mean, I know we don't have a whole lot of time.
We've got like 30 seconds, but
okay, cool. So who should I be watching for? That should be an easy question.
It's a very easy question. Tennessee.
Okay.
I think they're going to win the conference this year.
Go Big Orange! Woo!
And they're a great team.
Okay.
Like on paper.
So do we think that we have a chance this year? I mean, we always think we have a chance. Do we have a chance?
Yes. In fact, it would be very disappointing if somehow things did not work out that way. Butch Jones is the coach. I think he's a very good coach, but he's not going to have a job if things don't shake out the way that we think it's going to shake out. Like it's just that cut and dry with them. So that was the shortest segment of Jay Asks we've ever done. We'll try and get her to do a real segment sometime this week. You've been listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. I'll see you in 24 hours. Stick around, though. Sons of Liberty up next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
With every election, the government always gets in. You're right to be angry. We have no free market.